So, hi everybody, and welcome to Earth. My name is Neil. I am the creator of this indie TTRPG set in an alternate 19th century Earth where all the creatures from folklore and fairy tale are real, have always been real, and live alongside humanity. The year is 1872. We are currently in Paris with our band of adventurers who've had a interesting day. The party druid, Sylvia, was celebrating a very important anniversary and spent the day with Mina, the party fighter. And Gwynn, the party witch, is being brought to a very, very fancy high society ball by her lover, Madame Joséphine Gaultier, a very, very powerful artificer. Aminata, because of her family connections, has been able to secure an invitation to the ball as well. So I'm just going to say, Aminata, you've been told the ball is being hosted by a Monsieur Gerard Courtemanche, who is a member of the French government. He's kind of politician. Not a full the government's in a bit of a mess since the war that just happened. So he's sort of a minister, but not. But his main thing is trade. So your family being ambassadors of the Mali Empire, who does trade with France, you would know him. So it was fairly easy for you, as the daughter of an ambassador, to get an invitation to this. And from what you've been told, it's a small kind of ball. We're just beginning to come. We're just coming into the season now, but there's going to be a mixture of very small little parties and then a couple of really, really big ones as well. This is one of the smaller ones that will be happening as we come into the season. Think Bridgerton, folks, okay? So anyway, we will go to Gwynn, okay, who is gone to the beautiful apartment that she was recently given by Joséphine, where the dress that you'll be wearing tonight was being delivered and where you're going to be getting ready, okay? So when you get to the apartment, you're let in, and on the little table in the living room space of the apartment, there's this very, very large cardboard box. I mean, the thing is huge. Like, it's well over a meter long by nearly a meter wide. Okay. Wow. Opening it up, you see this breathtaking gown. Do you want to describe what the gown looks like?
Yes, it is red silk with the whole thing is red silk, but the bodice is black and gold brocade. And it's quite high rise, like it's typical of the fashion of the time, quite modest. But it just is low enough for Gwyn to wear the necklace Madame Gaultier got her previously, to show that off. And she's also going to wear the brooch Madame Gaultier got her before as well.
Yes.
It is very fabulous.
This is some very expensive jewelry that you're wearing.
Very expensive. Everything's very expensive.
Although I will say the brooch looks slightly out of place, because as far as the brooch was in the shape of a cauldron, wasn't it?
Ooh, actually, maybe Gwyn won't wear it. Yes, you're right. It is.
I know. One of them was in the shape of a cauldron. From
yeah,
what I remember.
It was actually the brooch. No, that wouldn't be right. Yeah, she'll just wear the necklace.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh, sorry. Was it not a rose?
No, that was a different. She is getting showered with gifts by Joséphine. Okay.
By Sugar Mama.
I think wearing the rose brooch would probably be too on the nose. But what Gwyn is going to do is she is going to actually strap a skinny belt around her waist, just around her undergarments, with her goblin pouch.
You kind of try and hide it under the bustle, are you?
Kind of trying to hide it under the bustle.
Okay, right. That makes sense. Okay, because that would you couldn't have that visible.
No,
At
it would
all.
not go at all, at
No.
all. So
Okay,
that
good.
is well hidden under the layers of fabric.
I will say that the landlady does come in and she helps you lace up your stays and your undergarments,
Okay.
because like that's a
Yes.
you can't do that
That
on
is
your
a
own. That
two-person
is a
job.
two-person job, and she does help you
Yeah.
with buttons and so forth, and she comments on that.
Amazing.
Okay, and you're just finishing getting ready when you hear the sound of footsteps, and walking up you see Joséphine Gaultier, looking stunning as
What is
always.
she wearing?
So she is wearing it's also a deep kind of red, kind of almost burgundy gown. Okay, it's not black detailing on the bodice. It's instead got what looks to be a silver thread coming up through it. Okay, and there are these dark stones set into it. You're not sure if it's glass, simple black glass, or if it's obsidian, or what it is. You don't know. Her bountiful bosom, very much on display. Her beautiful blonde locks up in this intricate but perfect, elaborate kind of top knot bun type thing. Okay, and there is she has little fine chains of silver coming around through the hairpiece as well. She's wearing a beautiful necklace. It's kind of like a heavy chain that comes down into a very large, very expensive looking diamond. And as she says, "Oh, absolutely beautiful, but it's just there's one thing missing." And with a gesture suddenly appearing in her hands is a small cardboard box.
Honestly, you're too good to me. Gwynn will open it.
So you open it, and what you find is a choker style necklace, which is lined with crystals, but set in the middle there is a diamond shaped ruby stone that perfectly matches with the color scheme of your outfit. It looks
This is once again one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
This is crazy expensive.
Would you do the honors? And Gwynn will turn around and let her put it on.
So she does. Her fingers gently lingering along your neck and your collarbone as she does it, giving you that little tingle. And you see yourself in the mirror as she's doing this, and you can't believe it. You're like, how the hell did this?
Who is this person?
How the hell did this teenager from a random city in England end up here in Paris wearing these clothes?
Almost like it's too good to be true.
Well, so she takes you by the hand and leads you downstairs, and you come out to the front, and you see her carriage, and you see Jerome. He's sitting there in his fine linens, waiting for not sitting there, standing there waiting for you both as you come. He has the door open and helps you both in, and then he hops up into the driver's seat and starts driving you in the direction of. Now he's not using the magical shadow jumping abilities of the carriage. He's using its. He's traveling in a mundane fashion. So Joséphine.
I also have Anki with me. And I think I would have kind of him around my neck in just kind of a little, like a stole type fashion.
Yeah.
So you could still see all the bling.
Yeah. She actually. She did see the dress, so she knows what your dress looks like, and of course Anki's chameleon abilities mean that he can perfectly merge into fabric, but she hasn't noticed so far
Good.
this what looks to be extra ruffles of fabric coming up around the back neckline of your dress is actually Anklegon, Justine's fairy dragon familiar, who is perfectly lying across your shoulders and there. Now, Justine, were you planning on going in the general direction of where the ball was going to be so you could be within range of Anki?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Cool.
And also, aren't fairy dragons like the last fashion trend in Paris?
Well, maybe shoes made from a fairy dragon.
Oh God! How dare you?
No.
How dare you?
Cover Anki's ears, okay?
You take
He
that
doesn't
back
Look
right
for
now.
innocent Anki ears.
Yeah.
Apologize to Anki right now.
Yes, Justine is going to be lurking around.
Yeah. So you saw the invitation and would have would know you got the details of where to go for the address. Okay. It's a very, very fine house in a very, very posh part of the city. Okay. So you put on your nicer clothes so you don't look out of place if you're going to be walking around the streets there. Okay.
Yes.
So right. So as you're there in the carriage, Joséphine says, "Oh, we'll be there in about 30 minutes or so." Okay. So this is a fairly small gathering.
Yes, I did mean to ask.
So the this is very, very small. We're just coming into the season now. There'll be a lot more balls that we'll be invited to, some of which I'll go to. I kind of have to be seen to be there. It's actually very important for business reasons, making connections and deals with people, powerful men who like to hire people like myself for their factories and so forth. And this particular ball is being hosted by Gerard Cotemanche. He is a member of the government. He's an interesting chap.
He sounds important.
Well, he was very well known and very popular in the court of the emperor who just died during the war. And he mostly was and still is involved with trade deals with England and Prussia. So, an important man to know. As an artificer, I'm constantly needing to get materials that I need for my products, and sometimes those materials would come from those parts of the world. Okay, so when after the war happened, there was this rather brief attempt at the forming of they called themselves the Paris Commune, and it only lasted a few months. And he tried to use his influence to gain some level of power and control there, but then the French army marched on Paris, and he quickly turned his fellow communists in. He is a ruthlessly power-hungry politician, which makes him somebody that you cannot trust, but is also somebody that is very easy to manage because his motives are pretty obvious at all times.
Yes, I know the type you mean. Okay, interesting. So he turned his comrades in, you say, just like that.
He's a politician. He has had a successful career by making sure that he was on the right side at the right moment and knowing when to jump ship.
Of course.
So yes. As for who else will be there, as I say, it will not be that big. There'll probably be only 30 or so guests. You won't even have
to this is quite selective.
Well, as I said, it's a small, it's kind of a pre-season ball, if you will. But yes, quite small. There will be much more. And so it'll be mostly a few other industrialists, there'll be a few other politicians, a few other wealthy members of society. You won't have to talk to that many of them, I would imagine. So do not worry. But
it might be for the best.
Well, I mean, you're here to keep me amused, so I have somebody interesting to talk to and someone beautiful to look at.
Well, that I think I can do.
So yes, and you might have a few people inquiring about you because of your quaint accent. I mean, your French is quite good, but you do have the cutest of accents. It's not what I'm used to. Most most of the English people that I would know would come from London and the likes. But so
Oh, yes, it's very different in the
yes,
southwest.
yeah. So yes,
We're not
I
like those Londoners.
I think your accent is quite charming, my dear, and
Well, thank you.
you might get some notice because of that. So
I'll do
yes,
my best to impress.
well, so yeah, I mean, there's some whispering of sweet nothings in your ear, and after about 30 minutes, you get to the carriage pulls up outside a very very fine house. It's not a terrace house. It's like it's on a very very fine street. It's kind of like a what you might call them. It's like a semicircular cul-de-sac and like individual
Mm,
houses, so not like a terrace.
nice.
And it is quite nice. Give me an awareness roll, will you?
Oh, I will indeed. A good roll as always. Awareness is 1. That is a 9 total.
Okay, right. So you both head in. It's a you get up to the front of the house, and there's a doorman there waiting. Opens the door. You're let in, and another butler as you come in, announcing Madame Joséphine Gaultier and guest. And you come in. You're in it's a very large room, a ballroom, space for clearly for dancing. And you can see there's maybe about 25, 30-ish people there of different ages. Quite a number of them are older, in their like late 40s, early 50s, but there is a few younger people there. Okay,
Okay.
and you're literally only in the door when you hear, because Aminata was in her own carriage coming up behind you, the sound of Aminata being declared. And
Whew,
looking
thank
around,
the
you
God.
turn and see them walking in. So, Aminata, do you want to describe what you're wearing?
Okay, so Aminata would be wearing a a style of dress that would be very common of the time and era, really nice and elegant. However, instead of brocade, what it will, well, yeah, brocade. What it'll look like instead is a type of print native to Mali, so bogolan. So quite symmetrical, but it would use a mixture of different colored threads for the different effects, and it would like they would be all over the actual gown itself. And in terms of the color of the gown, it would have a nice, rich kind of burnt orange
Mm-hmm.
that didn't look very pumpkiny. It looked very sultry
Yeah.
and, very kind of warm and kind of glowing from within. And obviously, that would play really nicely with Amalada's skin.
Yeah.
Their hair would be nicely fashioned in an updo with a few kind of like loose natural curls. They would have matching jewelry that would also be very Mali inspired, but also kind of done in a Parisian French sort of fashion. So it's like their outfit is going to be a meld of the two
Mm.
different worlds. So at first glance, you'll see a lovely kind of rustic orange dress and be like, oh, that's really nice. And then if you look closer, you'll see it's not really any sort of print that would be common in France, and they would be holding themselves with an almost regal air because this is like their playground.
Yeah.
They are so used to this sort of setting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Right. Um, super. And Josephine sees you, and she comes straight up to us like, "Oh, Aminata. A wonderful surprise. Although I'm not surprised, considering who your family is, that you would get an invitation to this as well. I'm sure your father's had many dealings with Cote Manche."
Oh, yes, we've had quite a few dealings with them. I'm glad I just could be here. I didn't want to leave Gwen all on her own when you were whisked away by all your business partners. I thought I'd be good to keep her a bit of company.
Oh, don't worry. You don't get as successful as me unless you know how to keep the treasures that you value the most close to you at all times.
Oh, I don't doubt that for any second, madame. And how are you this fine evening? You both look so stunning.
Oh, please. You look lovely as well yourself, my dear.
Aminata, you look wonderful. I've never seen anything like this. And Gwynn is just gonna investigate the fabric and the details. She's never seen anything with this kind of patternscape, and she's just fascinated.
Wait, thank you. It's a very special piece that my mother got for me.
So as you're saying this, you see a couple approaching you, and a man and his a man and woman. They look to be in their late 40s, early 50s. The man, he's average height with grey hair that's beginning to thin, slightly plumpish build, bright blue eyes, clean shaven face, wearing very, very fine brocaded waistcoat of rich reds and blues, and he's got a cane in his hand made of ebony and ivory. And on his arm, you see an attractive middle-aged woman. She's dark brown hair, very soft, gentle face, in a beautiful high-fashion gown, lovely, soft pastel colors. As they come up to you, and the man's like, Joséphine, it is so good to see you in my home. And this is, and he gestures to you, Gwynn, and Joséphine says, "Oh, this is my very special friend, Gwynn. This is Monsieur Gerard Contemanche."
How do you do? Beautiful house.
Oh, how do you do? And he hears your accent and slips into English. And he's like, "Oh, I actually haven't had a chance to chat to anybody from your country in quite some time, my dear."
Well observed.
I am a man who works in trade with many people. I have to be able to communicate to get a good deal. And Joséphine now turns to English as well, as she says, "Oh, we all know you're a master of languages, aren't you, Gerard?" And you see his wife is kind of looking a bit confused. Like she's clearly picking up a chunk of what you are saying, but not necessarily all of what you are saying. And seeing this, Joséphine comes back to French, and he says, "Eleanor, it's so wonderful to see you again. Thank you for the invitation to your lovely home. This should be a fun evening." And she said, "Oh, Joséphine, it's always lovely to have a beautiful woman such as yourself here. And it's very nice to meet you too, my dear," she says to you, Gwynn. And then they both turn to you, Aminata. And she says, Mademoiselle, it is always a pleasure to see you. How is your dear father?
Oh, my father is great, Madame, Monsieur. They send their regards, and thank you so much for your kind invitation. I'm glad to have accepted it on their behalf.
Oh, of course. It's always such a pleasure to have your esteemed family come to our home.
Aminata's just going to kind of a little gentle bow, you know.
And he says, "Excuse us, we must," and he kind of gestures, and they go off to do their mingling.
Of course.
So that was Court de Manche himself.
It is.
How young would you say his wife is?
She's 14. She's about 48, 49, I believe. About the same age as himself. He's in his early 50s. I can't remember exactly what. But they're actually approximately the same age. She's just a very well-kept woman. He
is. He looks much older.
Yeah, she was quite the beauty in her youth.
Yes, I would imagine.
Now, when I first met her, they were already married, of course. So she was off limits.
Of course. I feel sorry for her.
Well, men tend not to have to worry about the blushing and all the rouging, all of the skin treatments, the creams, the lotions and potions. They're allowed to just age disgracefully in some cases, and it's perfectly acceptable.
Actually, Neil, are we still in the era of men doing the white faces and the wax makeup and stuff? That's long gone. Okay.
Oh, we're at least 100 years past. That was pre-Edwardian. No, we're well past that now at this stage.
Okay. Good.
People are actually bathing somewhat more. and in this world, much more readily, because they have things like magic hot stones to actually make baths easier.
Yes.
So they're not having to use powders and perfumes to hide their bodily odor. Yes. So like we're not making ridiculous crazy changes to things like toilets and toiletry. I'm not J.K. Rowling. Um, but yeah, we are well past the powdered wigs and white faces. Okay, so you have just moved off from the side, and you hear an announcement: Ivan, Virginie, and Mademoiselle Viviane Poulin. And you see a trio coming in. A man, quite tall, about 187, 6'1", regular build, slightly curly brown hair, oval face. You see, he's actually looks like he's missing the tip of one of his left ear. Extremely well dressed. Okay, and then beside him, a woman in her late 40s. She is average height, blonde hair. Looks like somebody who's like she's a handsome woman who was probably quite beautiful when she was younger, but age is beginning to have an effect on her. Okay, but like still, and then beside them, clearly the daughter. Like you can immediately see the resemblance between her and the mother. A beautiful young blonde woman, slender, slightly above average height, willowy frame, dressed in the most like beautiful soft pastels that perfectly complement her extremely light and delicate complexion, clearly like the latest of fashions. And when Josephine sees it, like, oh, I should have expected this. Oh well.
Do tell. Sounds like a story.
Monsieur Poulon, he's a very, very successful textiles owner. He runs several factories. He's quite successful, very wealthy man. I've done some work for him myself. His wife Virginie, she's pleasant enough, but the daughter Viviane, she has just come into society, and she's already looking for her perfect husband. And well, let's just put it like this: she's an only child, and always somebody who was she's always struck me from the little bit of conversation I've had with her that she was probably the kind of child who was always jealous of the other child's toy, regardless of what it was, because she didn't have it.
Oh,
Yes. So
yes. That is a personality type. Well, it is a shame. She is very pretty.
oh, she is quite beautiful, yes, but no, far too demanding.
Doesn't count for everything.
Far too demanding, and I imagine she would be extremely selfish and lacking in talents in the bedroom.
Yep.
It can be a problem with the upper classes. Not first country folk, though.
Yes,
They're much more earthy.
And much more eager to have a roll around in the hay.
Exactly.
So she brings you around, and you're introduced to a few different people. You're trying to remember their names, but you're not remembering most of them. And it's like different men who are factory owners, they're industrialists, a few other politicians, some senior civil servants and the likes. It's like, yeah.
Do I see anything out of the ordinary, unusual? Is it just a lot of the upper classes?
Give me an awareness roll.
Mingling.
Give me an awareness roll.
That was a dirty 20.
Okay. A few figures are standing out. You do see off to one side a young woman, early, like it looks to be about the same age as yourself, maybe 20 years old. Extremely beautiful, dark hair, tiny frame, incredibly petite. Like she looks like she's maybe about 152, 153 centimeters. Like really tiny little frame on her. Beautiful, gentle, innocent face, big, soulful eyes. She's like really beautiful. And beside her, you see a woman. You're assuming it's her mother, a very handsome woman in her like early 50s, slightly, still very short, but ever so slightly taller, with a fuller figure, very soft, very welcoming, smiling face. And they're looking around, and it's kind of like you can tell they're kind of the mother is kind of prodding at the daughter and trying to point discreetly at a couple of the young men and the daughter's like blushing, and it's like you're kind of getting the impression that the mother's like, okay, well, what about him, and oh, what about him, and you know, probably trying to play the matchmaker, you know. You see another man. He looks to be in his early 20s, extremely good looking, very very tall, beautiful blonde hair that's almost like think like Raphaelite curls, you know.
Nice.
Just falling around his face, these beautiful eyes, beautiful blue eyes, and it's like this, oh, it's this dazzling smile, moving with this lithe grace of like a dancer, wearing brilliant reds with gold, with green trim, and royal blue with gold trim, and like, and he's chatting to a few different people, and he's always kind of lingering around the women, obviously, and then you do see another figure that kind of stands out. He's kind of slightly standing off a little bit, but anytime someone comes to him, he's talking to them. Slightly above average height, very attractive man as well. Looks to be somewhere around his mid, maybe late 30s. Okay. Very like quite handsome, like really really like fabulous cheekbones, really strong jaw, you know. Like great bone structure, you know. Amazing bone structure, slender mustache that curls up at the sides, really intense blue eyes, and one thing that actually stands out slightly is he has his long black hair that he's wearing in this simple ponytail, which is so not the norm
The style, yeah, of the
Parisian
time.
men to wear at all. Very very fair skin, like incredibly pale, almost ethereal looking. Also impeccably dressed, brocaded waistcoat with fine jacket lined with silk. And he's chatting to a few different people. So they're the people that like jump out.
That stand out.
Yeah.
So I think at some stage Gwynn will say to Josephine, "Would you excuse me for a moment? I'll go to the powder room."
Of course.
And she's going to slip away to wherever the powder room is.
Are you going to take Aminata with you?
Or
Or is Aminata doing her own thing?
I didn't think of it. I think Gwynn is she's gonna try and get there for a specific reason. So I think she's just trying to be kind of stealthy, and sneak away from Josephine to maximize time. So I think she would have just gone.
Right, yeah.
And when she gets to the powder room, I mean, appreciating the beautiful house along the way, I'm going to take out my scrying equipment.
Okay.
And I am going to. Is there any way of telling if Monclerc is in the area?
Oh, well, you could. Oh, let me just pull up the spell's exact
I don't have
description.
anything belonging to him.
You don't, but you do know him. So just give me a moment, please. I'm sorry. I need to just pull up the spell description.
Yeah, no worries.
It's, where is it? Locate person.
Locate person.
So
if they know the person, it'll be quite accurate.
The accuracy of the spell depends on how familiar the witch is to the person. If they know the person, the map will be quite accurate, usually showing a building. If the person is one being described to the witch, so you do know him, you don't need... There are other scrying spells in the game whereby you need to have a picture or an object associated with them, but this witch's spell, locate person, it's just familiarity. So you've met the man, you spoke to him, you tried to kill him and he tried to kill you, so I think we can say you are very familiar.
We are acquainted.
Okay.
So she'll find just a private corner and pour the iron filings on the map.
Yeah. And you go. Okay, you go and you take your minute to cast the spell, and you see the iron filings. They start to form into the lines of streets, and after a minute you see them forming around a building that looks to be in one of the more run down parts of Paris.
Okay.
He is in the city.
He is in the city still. Okay.
Yes.
Well, he's not in the building, which was Gwynn's concern
No,
that he
no,
might be
he's
fluting around high society
no.
to try and get money or something like that. So for the moment, she's going to park that, put all her bits away,
Mhm.
and return to the main room where the event is happening. And she'll kind of just, I think, drift over to the mother and daughter.
Mhm.
Because really, it's such a travesty to see a young, beautiful girl being foisted off on these young men, you know.
Well, fair enough. Aminata, what are you doing while Gwyn is doing all this?
Well, Aminata would be kind of going around,
Mhm.
doing the rounds, you know, just the usual polite society chit chat, making sure my face is seen,
Mhm,
so
mhm,
they
mhm.
can't be like, oh, you know, the
Mhm.
Moreaus snubbed the event or whatever. So
Yeah,
just
no,
doing
yeah.
that, you know,
Mhm,
a courtesy here, you know, laughing at a joke, ha ha ha, you know, some light flirtation happening as well. And yeah, I'm just keeping myself. This is like literally my playground, so I'm very used to navigating this
As I said,
sort of
so
scenario.
a lot of the figures you do recognize, and these are people who you do know from Parisian society.
Hmm.
Some of them you wouldn't know as well. So give me an awareness roll as well, okay? You've got a
Yeah.
much lower target number because you're actively mingling, and you know a lot of these people anyway.
Where are my dice? Awareness. That is a with keen eyes.
Yeah, sure, why not?
19.
Okay, right. So you see all of the same individuals that Gwyn had seen. You don't recognize the young mother and daughter couple,
Hmm.
or the beautiful guy with the blonde locks, or the guy with the long black ponytail. You don't recognize any of these people at all. These are obviously new individuals.
Interesting.
So not people that you would have seen at previous. Now, one thing I will preface is that the young girl, the really tiny petite one, of like the really really small one that I said, she is quite young. She looks to be probably somewhere between. Kind of hard to know. She could be 18. She could be 20. She looks like
Hmm.
she's like she might just be coming of age, or maybe still a little bit too young to be coming of age. So maybe that's why you don't really know her. But like you wouldn't necessarily know all the families in Paris, you know.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So easily a new debutante.
yes.
Okay. Deadly. Uh. Oh. Okay. Aminata is probably going to want to either somehow catch some of the strangers' attention, so they'll try and speak to her, or just kind of like try and see if anybody else is kind of like talking about them to get their name.
Well, I mean, these individuals, like the tall, beautiful guy, he's mingling. He's a social butterfly.
Ah, okay.
You know, the mother and daughter couple, they're kind of off to the side, and the other guy, he's kind of off to the side, but talking to people as they're going past him. But
Hmm.
you know, so you could take a moment and easily head up to him, and you do spot Gwyn looking like she's going in the direction of the mother and daughter.
Okay. When I see Gwyn making her way towards the mother and daughter, I'm going to kind of like sidle up beside Gwyn and just lean over and say, "Are you enjoying your night so far?"
There's a lot to take in, but it's amazing. I mean, I've never seen this level of wealth before. It's different in Exeter. We would have had to sneak in back doors at fancy events and things like that. But yeah, never this level of Parisian luxury.
Yes, the Parisians tend to like showing their wealth to all of their
Mm.
friends, more so enemies,
Mm-hmm.
and they love to spend money. It's
I can
something.
tell.
Yes. Your the food will be, of course, magnificent, because if it's not, it'll be talked about, and if it is, it'll be talked about even more. And
Hmm.
if
I've no
there's
doubt.
if there's anything you need, I can tell you who some of these guests are, if you're not familiar with them, to help you feel a bit more comfortable.
Madame Gaultier introduced me to some of them. It's funny, the level of finery here is it's I thought it would be more intimidating. I mean, in Exeter we have rich merchants, of course, but it's a port city. It's not a really continental city like Paris, and the sort of seasonal events that we had back there were nothing of this magnitude. I'm holding it together. I was just gonna, you know, let Josephine mingle for a bit and yeah, just hang out around the edges, have a look, see what's going on, see
You,
who's who.
you do spot Josephine is off to one side. She's like in conversation with three older men, and they're all kind of joking, laughing. But she's regularly checking, like a glancing, just to make sure she's aware of where you are at all times. Like you can tell
Yeah,
she's checking in to see where you are. She has not
yes.
ignored you, but she's
To be
work.
honest, Gwynn is kind of doing the same
Yeah, no,
because she is her like safety net in this whole
absolutely.
situation as well as Aminata. And Gwynn is as kind of a nervous thing, should be stroking Anki. Um, good dragon. So she doesn't feel like she feels like pretty comfortable with like Aminata and Anki there, and she's just gonna wander up to the mother and daughter and strike up conversation. Good evening. So exciting! The start of a new season.
Oh, bonjour. This is the older mother says, bonjour. My name is Marianne Lagarde. This is my daughter Astrid, and I'm sorry. We do not know you. Mademoiselle Moreau, isn't it?
Oui, bonjour. Well, bonsoir, I should say.
Alright. Give me an intellect roll, will you, Aminata?
Uh-huh. That is a 21.
Cool. So when she introduced herself, the name does ring a bell. The Lagarde family. From what you understand, they're kind of a very they're a small respected family. The Monsieur Lagarde died many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was quite a wealthy man who, just before he died, had apparently sold a very lucrative mining business, and then he died in a horse riding accident. It was quite tragic, and like his wife, she never remarried, though there was a lot of suitors
Yeah.
after the death, and she's just been like raising her daughter on her own. And this is clearly, the daughter is getting to the age now where she's going to have to start introducing her to society. She's getting
Yeah.
towards that marriage. So you're like, I know you. We've never met because you didn't go mingling in these functions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's clear that okay, now you're like, now I understand why she's here now. Her like, you seeing the daughter, she's getting near that age that women are expected to marry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And would I have known of the daughter's name through past?
I'll say with that role, you vaguely remember it was like um Astrid um or Adelaine, or it was something like that. You were like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to introduce myself. Are you enjoying your evening? I'm not. This is one of your first events, no?
The daughter says, yes, it is. It's quite lovely. And there's a slight tremble to her voice. You know, she's clearly not used to these social functions. Like, it is quite lovely. The food, because there's like little bits of food around. It's been lovely. The music is delightful. And I'm sure there'll be dancing soon. A number of
Yes.
men have already put their names in my card. And yes, and uh, But yes, it
Well,
is
wonderful,
quite
my
good.
dear. I'm sure you're going to have a great evening. Be sure to keep your options open. And Gwyn just winks at her. And what a beautiful name,
Oh,
Astrid.
she's oblivious to the wink. Does not register at all.
Yeah, I figured.
Um,
Bless.
The
Aminata
mother,
is
on the other hand, is like giving you a bit of side eye right now.
oh, Aminata is just going to turn to Madame Lagarde and say, Madame, if you'd like to go and mingle with some of your closest friends, I'm more than happy to act as a chaperone of sorts for Astrid, and I can walk her around, point out some of the people around to her. As you know, I would have quite a bit of information on some of the men that would be good choices, some who would not be quite so good, but as always, that is up to your discretion as her mother.
Give me a charm roll. You can add, and you can add all your bonuses to that.
Oh, are you sure? Because
Well,
I've got three.
well, I know, no, yeah, because like this is something you're good at. So add your persuasion, add your wordsmith as well. You know, this is what you're good at.
Okay, so that is 18,
Neil, I have
30,
a question.
20,
If Aminata's unmarried, would she be considered a
21.
chaperone?
Yes and no. Like she's unmarried, but she's a woman as opposed to a man. Like an unmarried woman with another unmarried woman would be like yeah.
Okay,
Better
so
than nothing, yeah.
yeah, so that is a 25.
She's very, very happy for your generous offer. She says, "Oh, thank you so much, Mademoiselle. That's so kind of you. I'm just going to go and have a drink, my dear. Um, the Mademoiselle's from a very good family, and she would know quite a number of the men in who would be here. So listen to her." And she's okay. Of course, Mama. And she goes off to mingle. Okay, and like almost immediately after she's left, you see a guy walking towards you, Ball. Late 20s, extremely attractive, tall, lean, athletic build, square jaw, slightly dark curly hair that kind of like that falls slightly over the eyes, deep
Uh-huh.
brown eyes. He's got this like easygoing, soft smile on his clean shaven face with these cute little dimples, impeccably dressed. You know this man. His name is Thibault Carrel, okay? He is from a very wealthy family which owns a large estate just outside of Paris. And he inherited the land through his family. They were heavily involved in the revolution, go back 100 odd years or so, and they were rewarded for their loyalty with all these lands that had been formerly owned by other noble families. And it's like, in most other countries, he would probably have a title of Marquis or maybe Viscount, but probably Marquis or something like that. But this is post-revolution France. People don't... The only people who get to keep those titles are foreigners who are in the country,
Mm-hmm.
But he is a guy who, he's a guy who thinks of himself as like a nobleman.
Oh,
And he has quite the reputation. He's particularly fond of attractive young women who he can buy the affections of with baubles and trinkets. And you see his eyes have set on Astrid, and as soon as the mother is gone, he is coming straight over to you.
well, he is in for a nasty surprise. So as Aminata kind of like notices him kind of like making their way, they're going to make sure that their eyes don't land on him.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to kind of like link arms with Astrid and then pretend to be sharing some like little kind of girly gossip and be like, but as they do that, they're like, you will want to keep an eye out for him. He is a bit of a, he fancies himself to be a bit of a nicer person than he is. He would not make a good match. And he tends to like to buy the favors of beautiful young women like yourself. So
When you said it, she blushes slightly. I just, oh, he's very attractive, but I'm thank you for telling me this, Mademoiselle.
Oh, my dear, you'll get to know the troublemakers in no time. What I found is overconfidence is generally overcompensating for something. Normally personality, but not
So
always.
at this
the
point,
attractive ones
yeah,
are
at this point, he's upon you all and says, "Ah, Mademoiselle Moreau, it is such a wonder to see you again." And like he's
You
tried it on
deigned
with you.
to talk to us? Have
Well,
we met?
he knows Aminata.
Oh, he knows.
Of course he
Yeah.
does.
Oh,
Yes. And he's actually hit on her a few times and gotten nowhere. Yeah. And how are your wonderful parents, Mademoiselle?
Oh, Monsieur Caro, my parents are very well. They just were unable to make it this evening, so I was allowed to attend on their behalf.
Such a shame. While we are robbed of the beauty of your mother, we have your beauty instead.
Oh, you are such a charmer. You have such a wicked way with those words.
What can I say? I'm a well-read man.
Uh-huh. So it seems.
And please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Monsieur Thibault Carrel. You are Mademoiselle Astrid Lagarde, right? As he kind of extends a hand to Astrid, who kind of puts her hand up and he kisses it and he says, "May I be so bold as to ask if your dance card is full?"
It is.
It is quite full.
Unfortunately. It is this evening.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And he turned and he actually now notices you for the first time. Gwynn said, "Oh, well, that's a shame. Perhaps you have a spot on your dance card, Mademoiselle." To you, Gwynn.
For you? Never.
Aminata is just going to be like, "Oh, Gwyn, you're such a joker." Like just trying to recover and be like, and just kind of like wide eyes, as in,
At that
yes.
moment, you hear a voice.
Oh man, good luck recovering from that.
You hear the
Fuck.
voice of Joséphine chuckling. He says, "Yes, she is a delight. That's why I brought her here." As she comes and then circles her arm around your waist, Gwyn. "Thibault, you have met my friend who is with me tonight." And when she says that, he immediately registers what's going on and says, "Ah, of course,
Yes.
Madame Gaultier. It is always a pleasure. Please excuse me, I do not wish to disturb you, and the dancing is starting soon, so I'm sure that I will be seeing you and your beautiful companion on the floor, right?" He says, "Well, of course you will," and then he excuses himself to leave.
From afar, hopefully.
Aminata is just going to look to Gwen with not a scathing look, but a kind of oh, Gwen,
As,
you'll
a,
need
Astrid
to be very
turns.
careful.
"I can't believe you spoke to him like that. I was shocked."
Oh, my dear, men do not deserve our respect.
She's very confused. And Josephine leans in, her lips just caressing your ear as she whispers, and there's a shiver running down your spine. She's like, "Be gentle, my dear. She's young, and she is very innocent. We don't want to scare her with the truth of how the world really works just yet."
I can't bear to see such innocence in the hands of those disgraceful chimpanzees, but I suppose.
Gwen
Mhm.
is telling the truth to a degree. Some men definitely do not deserve your respect. However, if you want to play the game of society well and play it successfully, you, especially a lady from your family, will want to know how to politely let them down while letting them preserve some dignity and humility.
Well, I definitely am not used to these things, but thank you for your help and your advice.
Oh, you've got time. Don't let your mother rush you off into marriage too soon. There's so much more out there than being some man's madam. But if you'd like, we could go around. Gwen, madame, I'm sure you'd like a bit of alone time, no?
Well, Josephine, looking to spend some time with Gwyn and having helped Astrid a bit with this cad who was trying to have his way with her in some fashion, and at least, you get ready to continue enjoying the rest of the evening's festivities. But this is a perfect place to pause in our story. We'll see what happens next in this deadly game of social combat that Gwyn is very much not used to. So don't go too far.
Fey Earth is a tabletop role-playing game set in an alternate 19th century Earth, where all the creatures from folklore and fairy tale are real, have always been real, and live openly alongside humanity. It is a game based heavily on folklore, in which the Fey and magical beings depicted are as they were described in the original stories from whence they came. This means, when you play Fey Earth, you will find yourself coming across many creatures whose names are very familiar, but whose appearance, personalities, and powers are very different from what you might be used to. It is a world, however, in which the Fae have developed alongside humanity, and while in many ways they are similar in how they appeared in fairy tales, in other ways they are also advanced in a similar fashion to humans. This means that as well as finding fairies and dryads living in nature, you will also find centaur cavalry and dwarven riflemen. The world of Fey Earth is one in which most people try to avoid the Fae, treating them with a healthy respect at a distance. But you will still find people who wish to adventure, exploring abandoned Fey mounds, hoping to find treasure and lost magic. There are two playable lineages in Fey Earth, a mundane human and the Fey Touched. These are humans who have Fey in their ancestry and who carry some of this magical blood in them, which grants them minor magical abilities as well as physical differences to other humans. There are also 7 playable professions in this game. As you explore the world of Fey Earth, you will find parts of it that are familiar to our historical 19th century, but other areas that are original. These include Fey nations such as Jotunheim in the north above Norway, Sweden and Finland, in which can be found the dark-skinned northern dwarfs, as well as the ice giants and trolls. Jotunheim trades with human nations, exchanging their lumber, dwarven steelworks and other products for food and goods that are not so easily obtained in the frozen north. As well as the Fey nations in Europe, within human civilizations you will find Magitech, the merging of machines with the arcane, both to help drive this new industrial age, as well as the everyday lives of ordinary individuals. The artificers of human towns and cities spend their days making magically powered devices for both the capitalists running factories and the housewives and laborers of society, although they will also make items for adventurers who have enough coin. Fey Earth uses a simple D20 system, similar to other popular D20 tabletop role-playing games. It has a very simple set of mechanics with 8 ability scores. Your score in an ability is your modifier to your dice roll, as well as other modifiers for having relevant skills and talents. This creates a very simple set of mechanics using flat modifiers that is easy and quickly learned. Fey Earth classes. The Druids, who learn magic through their connection with nature, are especially skilled in dealing with the Fae and also specialize in a specific element for which they have a great affinity. When they are performing magics using that particular element, they are even more powerful. The Mystics. These religious spellcasters gain their connection with magic either through praying to their gods or through their connection with ancestral spirits. The Mystics also have access to a wide range of magic, though many become gifted healers. Mystics often take a sacred vow, through which they try to better guide their own actions. These vows grant them additional boons and spells. The Fighter is a profession which seems simple on the surface, but is one which provides a great degree of customization. Fighters specialize in combat feats. These are special maneuvers they train in, which they can use in combat to tailor their actions, allowing them to cause greater injuries or deflect attacks against themselves or their allies. A fighter's chosen weapon develops as they do, its power increasing as the character advances. The Gunslinger. In this late 19th century world, guns have become a very important aspect of combat. Gunslingers are highly trained fighters who specialize in the use of firearms. Gunslingers learn additional skills, allowing them to perform a wide range of special maneuvers in combat, making them master ranged fighters. The Sorcerer. Sorcerers are the academics of the magical world. While druids and mystics will train with their religious orders, most sorcerers learn magic by studying it in universities or by becoming an apprentice. Sorcerers view magic like a mathematical science. They often learn new spells through experimentation or research, though this may lead to magical mishaps with temporary or sometimes permanent effects. The rogues are a mixed profession, skilled in subterfuge and stealth, but also able to handle themselves in a fight. Unlike other professions, when playing a rogue, you can choose at a higher level to take a specific archetype. This enhanced training gives the rogue additional skills, talents, and feats. Alternatively, there is a Shadowcaster archetype, which gives the rogue access to spells from the spheres of Twilight and Chaos. The Witch. While a magical profession, unlike other spellcasters, witches draw their magic from physical objects, using plants, herbs, household materials, and even animal parts in casting their spells. Witches are also able to make amulets they can use to aid themselves or their allies. The amulets have a variety of functions, though most provide various forms of protection or defense. As the witch grows in power, so too do the amulets they create. We hope to have sparked your interest, and we look forward to welcoming you to this world of folklore, fairy tale, and magic. Welcome to Fae.
Hello folks, and welcome back to Feyard, a indie TTRPG set in an alternate 19th century Earth where all the creatures from folklore and fairy tale are real, have always been real, and lived alongside humanity. My name is Neil. I am the lunatic who decided to spend 7 years making this TTRPG for you all to enjoy right now. When last we left our heroes, the party witch and the party rogue were engaged in possibly the most dangerous encounter that they have ever had since forming their band of heroes. They are at a ball filled with Parisian high society. Beautiful people and not so beautiful people who were all extremely wealthy, wearing clothes that could feed a family for a year. Mingling, making social connections, deals, and social contracts, all while under the veneer of respectability. The party have met a few people so far, including a young girl, Astrid Lagarde, from a very wealthy family, but whose father died when she was very young, and she is now close to coming of age, so her mother is eager for her to find a good husband, because unfortunately in this time period, for wealthy women especially, in a really weird messed up way, wealthy women had less rights than the poor. It's kind of messed up. Like, if you were the daughter of a wealthy family, your job was to find a husband and get married, and that was it. And that is the situation that these young women find themselves in. Something that Gwynn and Aminata do not have to worry about, because they are living their best lives. Alright, as I said, we just get back to the party, and you hear the sounds of the musicians beginning to warm up their instruments. Okay, it looks like they're going to start playing some music soon, and people will be dancing.
We should probably head to the ballroom. Astrid?
Well, these are in the kind of ballroom.
Okay.
In the ballroom, yeah.
Aminata's going to have a quick scope around to see if I can spot Madame Lagarde, and I will start moving us that way, so I can just kind of have Astrid by their mother for whenever their suitors want to ask they dance. They have the appropriate person there.
Yeah, so you do see her, and she spots you, and you just kind of meet up in a minute, and she thanks her for looking after her daughter. She does spot. She says, I see Monsieur Carrel decided to introduce himself, but it seems he did not spend long talking to my daughter. Thank you very much for that, mademoiselles.
Our pleasure.
You are very welcome. I must say that was more Gwynn than myself, but we both know the type of sort of person, and we figured it would be best that he not be the first person to have the young mademoiselle's hand at a dance.
After moments,
Aminata, are you going to be dancing, and with who, may I ask? Do you have your eye on anybody here?
Does Aminata want to be like discreet about this? I don't know. Yeah, okay, so Aminata is going to just kind of like, their eyes are going to be like darting all over the room because they obviously would have spotted some very, very handsome men
Mm,
and a few very lovely ladies.
mm,
Um, the person they're most interested in would be the dude with the like Raphael type blonde hair
Mm,
oh
because
yeah.
they've
good
never
choice.
seen them before and they're just like, what is his situation? But obviously they're not desperate. They're just
Uh-huh.
going to be like, they're going to keep it nice and classy.
Mm-hmm.
I like your approach.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I will say that a few men do come up to you, Aminata, to ask and they put their names in your card, but you decide. You can tell me what you think you would like if you would let any or not. You know.
I'd say Aminata would, just to, because one thing they love to do is they love to dance.
Mm.
They actually love to dance. So they would have been like, oh, if they got a good vibe
Mm-hmm.
of the person, absolutely.
Yeah. Early in the night, one or two men had approached you, Gwynn, but when they did, Joséphine appeared by your side every time, and they very quickly walked away.
A bunny boiler.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's probably for the best, considering Gwyn would probably have set them on
Kill them
fire.
It
and poison them.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Stab them, poison them,
It
set them
is
on
true.
fire.
Yeah. But anywho.
Had they touched her? Yes.
All right. Well, the music does start, and you see a young man coming up to Mademoiselle Lagarde, and they have it. The mother nods her approval, and they go dance, and you feel a hand on your waist, and it's Josephine as she takes your hand and says, "Shall we, my dear?"
Of course. Yes.
Of course.
Now, Gwyn does not know a lot of high society dances. So, like, her and her mother would have not snuck in, but feigned to be invited, somehow managed to get into some, like, high society gatherings. But in Exeter, high society is, like, it's not like this, and that would have been to pass something on to a woman who was there or meet up with a servant who was downstairs or whatever the case may be. And I like to think that her mother might have taught her some like local dances to maybe blend in just in cases, but really Gwyn wouldn't be familiar with
You know how to
these
waltz,
sorts of
though.
dances, I would imagine.
You do know how to waltz.
Okay.
Yeah, you would. Like that is
cool.
like waltz.
Basic of most basic.
It is actually like
Yeah.
the
The
oldest
two-step.
the oldest form of ballroom dance. Now, granted, it did develop in around like Austria and Germany, but you would know the basics of a waltz, and
She would know the basics of a waltz, I think. Yeah,
she would
that's fair.
definitely. And Josephine takes your arms, and she is a strong lead, and effortlessly glides you around the dance floor.
Wonderful.
And it's kind of like, give me an awareness roll, Gwyn.
Okay. Gwyn she's having a great time. She's simultaneously fascinated and horrified at the opulence, but also is having an amazing time because she's only 19.
The food that
Many
you've been
things are going
trying-
on in her brain. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that was a 1.
Okay, right. No, that's fine. So the food you've been trying has been amazing. The bit of wine that you've had and champagne has been amazing. This is like shit. This is how the other half lives,
Yeah.
And so Josephine is gliding you around the dance floor. You're having a wonderful time of it. Aminata, if you choose a few different men to choose a dance with you, after a few moments, you spot the beautiful blonde Raphaelite curled gentleman dancing with Astrid. And she's having a wonderful time. This guy is an incredible dancer, like unbelievable. You're like, damn, this guy's maybe. You're like, this guy looks like he's a better dancer than me.
Excuse you.
No,
Excuse you.
Yeah, no, like I'm serious. That level, you're like, damn.
Wow.
Yeah, you're like, yeah.
Suspicious.
Well, but yeah. So incredible. You spot that the guy with the ponytail, he's kind of hanging. He hasn't actually appeared to have asked any of the women to dance now, but that's not necessary. Like, not all the men are dancing with all the women, of course. He's like as I said, he's kind of like looks like he's in his like maybe his mid, possibly late 30s. It's hard to know. So you don't like you'd assume that he's married, but you haven't seen what looks like a wife near him. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and just from his general style of clothing and especially the hair, you're like, this guy's not a Parisian, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Grand. But does he look to be watching anyone in particular?
Is he?
Because one of my favorite pastimes of these things is people watching.
You do spot he's looking a few times you see Vivienne Poulien, she's the kind of the catty, you know, spoiled. Now she is also one of the most beautiful women here.
Yeah.
She is extremely beautiful. So you do spot him eyeing her a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And you do remember seeing that he was talking to her father at one point in the evening as well. But
Ah.
you know, but he was talking to numerous different people. You know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, um, there is breaks in the music. So if at any so you guys can go get drinks if you want to mingle with other people, you can as well.
Yeah. They'll definitely doing a lot of mingling, just kind of getting, getting caught up to date with what happened the last time and all that jazz, the
Uh-huh.
usual
Yeah.
gossip and
Yeah.
How's Anki finding the dancing?
He seems to be okay with it. He like you do feel his claws digging in a
Aw.
little bit at once or
Oh,
twice, and
oh,
when Josephine's giving you a few particularly fast twirls, which do
I
make
kind
you
of like to think
slightly
Gwen's
giddy.
like weirdly stiff because she's like, oh,
Yeah, it does make you
and
slightly
like
giddy,
really
but you're having a
awkward.
great time. He's actually taking a
Oh,
break from the dancing when Courtemanche comes over to you all and says, "So, Madame Gaultier, I hear that you have a shipment coming from quite far north. Is that
Gwen is
true?"
all ears but saying nothing.
And you see Josephine's lips purse slightly when he says this.
ooh.
Like, well, I do like to keep my business transactions close to my chest, of course. There are not many of us artificers in the city, but we are a competitive bunch, as I'm sure you understand. And she says, yes, but still, if the rumors are true, how did you manage to make that trade with them?
Oh, I am
And
riveted.
yeah, so you're not here. You're mingling while
Oh,
this is
mingling.
happening. Yes, this is Gwynn is hearing all this. Well, I happened to have some materials that were well sought. I do have connections, as you know, all across Europe, including still some in Arcadia. Now, obviously, it's far harder to get trade from there since the war, as you know. And he says, don't get me started on that. Before this cursed war happened, I was making good inroads into trade with the elves and the dwarves, and then this. Oh, but still, that you could have had. Is it that you have a shipment coming from Jotunheim is quite impressive. And she when he says it, she looks around and is like, please, monsieur, can we just be a bit more careful about talking of this? And he says, of course, look, it'll be fine. He's like, but still, we may have a discussion because if we could establish trade routes with the giants, with the frost giants and the dark dwarves and so forth, and that would be quite beneficial to all. As I'm sure you realize, it could be a great asset to the people of France and to its leaders as well, of course. She says, yes, we might discuss it later today. She's trying to stop the conversation, and then another guy calls Courtemanche, and he's pulled away, and he goes off, and she says, that man needs to learn how to keep his mouth shut.
He absolutely does. Well, that is quite impressive and exciting. Giants.
Well, I have. She's looking around. Is like, I have a shipment coming from Jotunheim. It's been quite some time since we've traded with the Northern Fae, and I want to make sure that my shipment arrives in one piece, because
Well, it sounds very important. Perhaps that's something we can help with.
it arrives. It will be arriving very, very soon. So I'm not worried
At
about
the port,
yes,
Docklands?
yes, of course.
Of course. We're both
It
okay.
arrives. In fact, it should be arriving sometime maybe tomorrow evening. I'm not entirely sure.
That soon.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, it's been coming for some time, you know.
And have you had you any plans on how to secure it when it arrives?
Oh no, like you have to understand that these kind of trades, like the crates that my cargo are in will be under an enchantment to protect them. So they will just
Of course.
they'll be sent to my warehouse on the docks, and then I will be able to collect them. Then that should not be a problem at all, really. It's just I have managed to procure a shipment of Fey iron, and that's something that previously the dwarves are very, very covetous of. It's not something that they regularly trade with humans, but I was able to convince them of a trade.
How fascinating! You were speaking with dwarves.
Well, I was speaking with intermediaries of dwarves. You know how these things are. You know,
Of
you're
course.
from a merchant city. You know how these things work. But yes. So a shipment of Fey iron. In return, I'm sending them a number of piston engines that I have designed for factories. The dwarves are interested in developing their own industries to help them with mining and so forth as well. So
Of course.
they've always used magic and their traditional ancient crafts, but they are interested in the modern sciences and magitech of humans. They've realized, and especially after this recent war, that they need to be moving into the modern age as well. So, but even though it's not a very large shipment, what I can do with Fey iron, I mean, as you know, it's a precious alloy that only the Fey know how to make, and it takes enchantments so strongly, so easily, so effortlessly that what I can make with that compared to the steels and irons and metals that we normally use in our artifacts would be it'll be quite. I will be a very wealthy.
They'll pale in comparison.
Yes.
I'll put you miles ahead. How exciting!
Yes. Well.
Well, if there is anything me and my companions can do
Oh.
to secure your shipment, not to hesitate to
Of course.
ask.
Absolutely. Yes, of course.
Good.
Thank you, my dear. So Aminata, you're who? Anybody in particular you want to be mingling around with now, or?
No, I'll just be doing the usual rounds. I'm not going to be sticking to any particular group for too long. Just kind of make my way around, seeing if I can hear any juicy gossip, any secrets from the men, because they tend to not notice when women are about, and they are big-mouthed.
A few of the guys are talking about Astrid. Her family is fairly wealthy, and she is, she's a bit young. You discover that she's actually only 20, so, traditionally you'd be 21 when they would be entered into society, but, from what you can tell, the mother is looking to try and lay the groundwork now because she wants to secure a good match for her daughter.
Which makes perfect sense,
yeah,
but also gross.
Well, yes and no. Like, the reality is that without a man to provide an income, these women
in the house,
would be in a serious problem. Even though they are a wealthy family, from what you can tell, the wealth is from what the father and husband made from the sale of his business shortly before he died.
Did we lose Neil?
I think.
Or is it me?
No, it's nobody else. It seems to be Neil.
Hello?
Oh, okay.
You're back. There. We lost you for a second.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got a message saying OBS stopped streaming.
I think your internet might have dropped.
Oh, damn it. Okay, hold on.
Yeah. Internet might have
Just
dropped.
reconnecting.
Okay. It still says we're live. There's just nothing.
Okay, are we good?
There's just nothing.
Okay, are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, folks.
Oh. We seem to be.
Oh, now we're offline.
What?
No, we're offline.
What?
Oh no, we're back. I think we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Yep.
Yeah,
we're back.
I think we're good. So I don't know what happened there, folks. It looks like my my internet decided to be difficult. But we are back. So let's get back to the gossip. Now.
Juicy gossip.
So, right, where were we? Yeah. So, if you don't, if nothing else, oh yeah, you're asking me the gossip. You do see Vivian Poulon is making her way. She's doing the rounds. She is, but she's only like, you know, going for the men from the best families. You know, you know, she's not an idiot. She does spend a bit of time with Carell, but you know, they'd make quite the perfect match for each other, really. If you, yeah.
Carell is the young guy with the like pre-Raphaelite hair, is he?
No.
He's
That's
the other guy that you wanted
that's
to
the
set on
one.
fire.
Yeah.
Oh my
you
goodness!
Yeah, you find out that the other guy, his name is apparently Lorraine Delacour. No one knows who he is. A few people are making guesses and suggestions, like they're trying to figure out his connection to Courtemanche, and actually, Aminata, give me, what would this be? We'll say intellect or charm. Your call.
Ooh, well, charm. It'll have to be.
But you don't get to add any of your other modifiers to this, okay?
Okay. None of them.
No.
Ah, shit. Okay. Ooh. Da, 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 da. So that will be an 18.
So, listening to the way people are describing this guy, Delacour, and the way they're trying to figure out his connection, it kind of reminds you a bit of times when you would have been slipping into events like this without invitations, where everybody was assuming that you were a friend with somebody else, but nobody actually realized that no, you know. So you're kind of getting a bit of a interesting kind of vibe.
Interesting, because they weren't announced, were they?
Well, he was here already when you arrived.
Okay. Okay, I will try to. I don't know what I'm going to try and do, but I'm very curious about this man now.
Cool.
So I'll probably want to catch his eye. I know he has his eye on someone younger, but we'll see how that goes.
Oh,
What age is Aminata?
Oh, Aminata is only like
20?
20, like 22.
Yeah,
Oh, she's a baby.
20s. Yeah, exactly. So you would be of, like, you are very much of the, you know,
eligible bachelorette
coming into society, should be getting married in the next year or so, or you'll be an old maid.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, no, well, I mean, you can easily get his attention. Easily.
Okay. Yeah, so I will
lingering
like a lady.
glance.
Yeah, a little lingering glance, maybe a slight little like smile, and then look away as I keep moving around.
And a moment later, you hear a Mademoiselle, would you do me the honor of a dance? And turning, you see this beautiful, beautiful man standing. He's quite, as I said, he's quite tall. At least 185, maybe probably closer to 190. So
okay.
So he is quite tall, lean, athletic build. As he extends a gloved hand to you.
Uh, we. Um, Aminata is going to kind of, do a wee little curtsy and say, "But Monsieur, I do not know your name."
Oh, forgive me. My name is Lorraine Delacour.
Oh, Aminata Moho. A pleasure to meet you.
Enchanté. And
And Aminata is going to put their hand in his hand and very gracefully make their way to the floor.
and in a moment, you are being whisked around the dance floor, feeling like you are floating. This guy
Oh,
is. You're like, holy shit, this guy's a better dancer than me.
Hmm.
This guy is amazing. You're like, are you having an enjoyable evening, mademoiselle?
Oh, I am. And you, Monsieur?
Ah, yes, it's so wonderful. There's so many beautiful young people here to enjoy the time with, so many lovely, lovely visions of beauty, such as yourself, of course. Though, you are the only one here gifted with the blood of the Fae.
Yes. There aren't many of the Fae touched in Parisian society, especially since the war.
Hmm.
Um,
That is surprising because I do know that there are many Fae touched in this country. The
oh,
elves,
many.
they especially spent quite a lot of time enjoying the company of, what is it they refer to? The mortal folk, isn't that the term they use?
Uh, yes, I suppose. There are quite a lot of them, but unfortunately, some of the more higher born, so to speak, are very elitist and
Well, from what I understand, a lot of the nobles who had Fey blood lost their heads during the revolution, so.
oh, the revolution made mice out of everyone. Fey touched and mortals alike.
Mm,
So it makes a lot of sense that you wouldn't have quite a lot of Fey touched at these sort of events anymore. However, my family come from Mali as well, so and we have a very good relationship with our Fey
where is that?
population. Oh, it's in Africa.
Oh, I've never been.
Oh, it's quite wonderful. I would say you should visit, but it's not the easiest to.
I do love to travel, but maybe someday.
Maybe. Well, if you ever need a guide, you could always let me know.
Oh, wonderful. You're obviously a native of Paris, yes?
Yes, I was raised in Paris and also in Mali. My parents wanted to make sure that I got the best of both worlds, so to speak, and I'm quite grateful for their foresight, for it has allowed me quite a lot of privilege in this life.
Mm.
And yourself, Monsieur, you're only asking questions about me, but I'm curious about you. Where do your family hail from?
Oh, I'm only recently moved to Paris. My family is from much further south.
Oh, like where?
South of Lyon.
South of Lyon.
Mm.
At his kind of like hesitancy, Aminata is going to be like, that's a bit of an odd thing not to want to talk about at an event like this. But they're just going to keep an open, expressive face and listen intently. And what brought you to Paris?
Adventure, beauty, romance. It is the city of love, after all.
Oh, it's the city of love. It is also the city of heartache and many, many other things.
Yes, that is true. But what is life without some heartache?
Of course, some of the best art was made from heartache.
Of course. Some of the best artists lost their hearts to the muses they used in their studies.
True.
Mm.
So, what are you looking for aside from adventure, romance, a bit of heartache yourself?
Perhaps. What more is there in life?
Success.
But how can we measure success but by the memories that we get to treasure?
Well, I suppose, yes. I never said the success had to be in material things. It could be success in finding your goal in life. Maybe you finally find what you're meant to do. You could be a teacher, a poet, politician,
No.
a anything. Anything in Paris.
Love, that is the only thing worth looking for.
Oh, and I see you may have your eyes set on a very young and impressionable young lady.
I do not know what you could possibly mean. I
Oh,
don't think
monsieur.
there are that many impressionable young ladies here tonight, mademoiselle.
Monsieur, don't be coy.
A gentleman never talks.
Ah, so you have been around similar circles before.
I'm not as young as I look, I suppose. Or maybe I'm just an old soul. That's what they say.
Old soul can go a few different ways, and I assume that is a friend, a relative of yours. Aminata is going to kind of like gesture towards the other man.
No, actually, I do not know. From what I understand, he is recently new to Paris as well. I haven't not really spoken to him, but others have mentioned him. A Baron Stratsmere, from further east, who is only recently moved to Paris.
Interesting.
You've never heard of this person before in your life, Aminata.
Geez, quite surprising that there's two new faces at such a small and selective event.
I do not know. I mean, if he's a baron, he's clearly from some sort of an old and respected family.
True, but I can pretty much point out every single family in this room, and it's quite uncommon for new faces to be in such a small and close-knit group.
But our host is a politician, and you know how they love to make connections.
That is very true. Politicians do love to make their connections, wine and dine prospects, and then when things don't inevitably work out, they tend to soon fall out of circulation in high society.
Well, hopefully that does not happen to either of us tonight, mademoiselle.
Oh, sorry, monsieur. That will certainly not happen to me. But I hope it does not happen to you either. I think it would be nice to see you around some more.
I hope to be around some more. And at that, the song has ended, and he elegantly and gracefully bows. Thank you for a wonderful dance.
And thank you. You're quite a dancer.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. Gwynn, is there anything you would be liking to do right now?
Gwynn would have been hanging out with Madame Gaultier and being all lovey-dovey and cute, but she would have been keeping an eye on Aminata. I think Gwynn absolutely would have clocked like these two amazing dancers, which I can only imagine like being young and the rest of the group being kind of older, like you said, probably kind of stole the show there for a little bit.
I mean, there are other young people here, but without question, Aminata and this other guy, best dancers here, hands down.
Yeah, hands down. Yeah. So when the dance is over, Gwynn is going to go over to Aminata and link her. Well, I've never seen a man dance like that before. Tell me everything about him. And I'm sure Aminata will relay everything. But Gwynn is just going to say, I'm so curious. Like, where is he from? Where did he learn to dance that way? Where's he like, what? You know, he's new. He's on his own. Is that normal?
It's not very normal in,
Hmm.
he did make a point that politicians do love to show off to new prospective, I suppose, sponsors or benefactors, whatever they're looking for at whatever given time. However, when I asked him where he was from, he was very hesitant to say, which in this sort of circle is quite strange, I have to say.
One thing I will
He's
Maybe he has
say,
a
sorry to
reputation
interrupt,
like your own.
regarding his clothing, like there is like the latest fashions, and then there's drip. Like this guy was wearing the most exquisite clothes.
mm,
Wow.
Like
Okay.
not just the latest fashions,
Rich.
but the best of fabrics, the
yeah.
finest silks,
Mm.
the most delicate laces, the most intricate brocades. Like he was seriously dripping, you know. Yeah.
Drippin'.
Yeah, okay, so
Like
I'm
this
And
is
going.
this other young man, you'll have to.
yeah, like
Sorry, go ahead.
clearly somebody who has a lot of money,
Money. He
a
got
lot of
money.
money.
Yeah, so I'm going to relay all of this to Gwen because obviously, as I was that close to him, I looked at absolutely everything that I could, and be like, oh, well, he seems to be very well off, very well spoken, gentle. He also can move around the dance floor, so it's not like it's his first time. And however, he did say he did not know the other dark-haired man over there. So what I will be trying to do is get more acquainted with him because apparently he is a baron.
A
From
baron.
Yes, from further east, and Monsieur
Oh, that might
Lorraine was
explain the darker complexion and the strange
exact
hairstyle. How
exactly,
intrigued. I've never met a baron. Let me be your wing woman.
of course.
So I
Aminata
suppose we'll
is
schmooze. Well, I don't know. Would it be uncouth to schmooze our way over to this guy?
Yeah, no,
well,
I mean,
well, you see, as we're kind of walking in that direction, it's
yeah.
not that we're just going to go right up to him and be like, hey, what's the situation? That
Where are
won't
you
do.
from? Tell us everything about you.
But as we kind of like walk in that direction, I'm going to see if there's like anything we can do, like get a drink or get something to nibble on that's over on that side. And as we walk by,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the same thing. But this time they're going to
We'll
be a bit
take a
more
turn about the
daring,
room.
and actually just like scope them head to toe as they walk
Oh
by
my
and
goodness.
see see if that works. Will it work or will it scare him away? We shall see.
Gwynn is trying to copy you and be really awkwardly pretend straight. She's like, wait, what am I doing? I'm just gonna copy what Aminata's doing. She like gives him like this weird kind of look, trying to look him up and down, but it comes across probably as very strange.
Aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive and way too intense, but weird and not in an attractive
So
way.
as you guys make your way in the direction of this
Some
guy,
people are into that. I
and
mean,
he
you
does
know.
notice you
True,
coming
true.
towards him. He's
Does he
talking.
run away?
No, he doesn't. This guy is definitely not in any way intimidated. As I said, looks to be in his kind of like mid to late 30s. Very very well dressed. Darker clothes. Like darker colored tones. As he sees you both. As you approach, he just finished a conversation with some older guys, and they'd headed off as you two come with him, and he nods the head.
Monsieur?
Good evening.
Good evening, mademoiselles. And you can hear that he has this Eastern European accent.
Ooh, Aminata's like, oh, I like this.
Your accent reminds me of a dear friend of mine. You must be from further east than France?
Yes, I am Baron Ivan Stratsmir. I am from, well, what was once the Kingdom of Bulgaria and is, of course, still part of the Ottoman Empire.
No, you'll have to pardon my ignorance. I'm from further north and west of here, so the opposite direction. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with the history of your country.
A proud nation east of here with some very, very old families.
Yes, Baron, this is my friend. And I'm going to look at Gwen at your name.
Pleasure to meet you, Gwynn Elvendale. Gwyn actually is interested in this guy because of his bearing is quite non-European. Like it's quite noble, stoic. She's kind of
Yeah, like this guy is
different.
giving off like a strong, assured confidence,
Mm,
Yeah.
Kind of like stoic and centered, like
Yeah.
girls,
Mm.
you know.
Um,
Yeah, so Gwyn's kind of impressed, kind of intrigued about his culture. I'm from Cornwall.
Cornwall.
It is in the southwest of England.
Ah, yes, I know England a little bit. I have never been there, but I do know of it. And you,
Wonderful
Madame
place.
to Aminata.
Aminata Moro. I am from Paris, but also I am from the Mali Empire in Africa.
Ah, yes, I know of Africa too. I have been there sometime, though it was many years ago.
Oh, really? And where did you visit, Monsieur?
Oh, it was in the northern region.
It is so rare that we come across someone who has visited, no, Aminata?
I briefly was in the city of Marrakesh.
Oh, it's a beautiful, beautiful city. You chose very well.
Yes.
Yes, and Gwen is right. It's very, very rare. I get a chance to talk to anyone who has visited who I am not related to.
Of course. Yes. Are you having an enjoyable evening this evening?
Yes.
Yes, we are here with our companion, Madame Gaultier, who is elsewhere at the moment.
Yes, and
Does that name ring a bell? Does he
When you see that, it's like,
look?
Madame Gaultier. I believe she is a very powerful and accomplished artificer, yes?
You are
That's the
correct. The
same one.
very one.
Yes, yes. Paris has a very strong center of magic.
Yes, we do. I suppose in part it was due to the culture that was there before the war and the revolution, where we had many many palaces, fey palaces, just kind of dotted around, and but ever since the revolution, things have not been as good as they were.
Yes, well, still, it is a fascinating city with many, many interesting innovations in both science and in magic.
It
Yes,
is. And is that
very
what brings
so.
you here, Baron?
I am interested in such things, yes. So far, I am, well, mine is a very, very old family,
Hmm.
and one that the ruling Turks did not always take kindly to.
Oh,
I'm sorry to
sorry
hear
to
that.
hear that.
It is ancient
Perhaps
history.
you. I will be sure to look it up now that I've met someone from your culture. I am overdue a trip to the library. Perhaps you would like to meet Madame Gaultier since you've heard of her. Perhaps
Yes,
I could introduce you.
that would be very, very, very good. I would very much like this. He's like,
Of course, Baron, my pleasure.
his French is good, but like it's clearly like not his first language.
Yeah.
So,
That's okay. Gwyn is also, it's like pidgin French for Gwyn too.
What other languages would he speak?
Well, you're assuming Bulgarian.
Yeah. Okay.
He might. I mean, Bulgaria at this time had been under the rule of the Ottoman Empire for quite a couple of centuries at this point, I think. So he might know some Arabic. Maybe, you don't know. He might know some Russian. You don't know.
Okay, true. No, I was just going to see if there was another language, like if German might have been an easier one for him.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll go to Madame Gaultier.
Yeah, and he's literally, she turns and says, good, yes,
Josephine, I would like to introduce you to the Baron. He has heard of your work.
Baron Ivan Starzimir, very, very nice to meet you. I have heard much of your skills as an artificer. He says, oh, well, thank you so much. I'm sorry, are you new to Paris? Says, yes, I've only been here a short time. I am hoping to make it my home, though.
An excellent choice.
Hmm.
Particularly if your areas of interest include the arcane and magic and science, I can think of no better place.
Yes, well, I mean, I have been here 6, 7 months, but I'm only really recently taking the time to, how do you say, enter society.
Yes, the old societal dance. Well, if I'm not sure if you'd know many around Paris, but my family live here. If you'd ever like to be invited to more of these things, I could always make sure to ask my parents to get you on the list. It's nice to have somebody that you know at least.
Thank you. I have also made a strong acquaintance with Monsieur Cotemonchet as well, and he has been introducing me to numerous individuals this evening.
Wonderful. Great.
An
So you're well
excellent
looked
choice.
after.
Yes.
Well, if you ever do feel like socializing with people who share your interests, please do not hesitate to let us know. We do have a sorcerer amongst our party, as well as, yeah, very gifted magicians and all sorts. So if you're
Really?
looking for magic,
Oh,
yes, absolutely. Perhaps we could share things. We are always learning to improve our skills.
yes, that would be very, very nice. It would be nice to share the company of such gifted young people. Yes.
Wonderful. And Gwyn will give him a card, which I'm going to say she has with her little shack address, her love shack address on it. Not in a weird way, just in a, if you're looking us up as a group kind of way, this is where you can find us.
And Aminata is just going to.
Aminata, Gwyn, give me awareness rolls, please.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh God, is Joséphine going to be pissed now that I did that? That was a 7 and my awareness is a 1-8. Is Joséphine pissed? I kind of glance at Joséphine.
Awareness, can I use keen eyes?
Yes.
Dirty 20.
Gwyn, you don't spot it, but Aminata, you spot. Joséphine gives a look when Gwyn hands the card to this guy.
Okay, thoughts. So, but Gwyn is intrigued with this guy. Like, Gwyn is a bit powerful for yourself, and there's something about the stoicness of this guy and his interest in like magic and stuff that she finds a little bit intriguing, and so she wants to stay in contact with him.
Okay, right, cool.
And Aminata is just going to say, like, it's just going to give essentially an address and be like, actually, no, I won't give my address because I've just met this dude and he might be a fucking creepo. So Aminata is going to say, well, my family work for the Mali embassy in Paris. So if you happen to ever be around, please feel free to stop by, and one of us will always be available. And Baron, do you dance?
Yes, I do.
May I have this dance?
Oh, please, I would be delighted. And you go out, and he's a good dancer. He's good. Like, he's probably not as good as you, and definitely not as good as the other guy. But he's like actually pretty good. And like, he does actually have quite an elegant grace to him, and he moves very smoothly and with a good level of speed and control. You get the feeling that he's actually quite strong. Like, he's definitely got a very powerful build to him. Like, you can feel that strength in his hands, as you're gliding around the floor. And it's interesting. Like, he leads, but he doesn't like dominate in the dance, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so it's more of he leads, but it's kind of a bit of a partnership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh.
Yes.
Aminata is gonna love that. Like, obviously love dancing with the other dude as well, but they're going to love this. It's a nice difference to it. And as they're dancing, Aminata is just going to, just ask questions, share a bit about themselves. So it doesn't seem like I'm questioning this poor man, but just trying to kind of sus. Like, is he married?
No, he's not married. He says that he has, you get he says he comes from a very old, proud, noble family from Bulgaria, but he has traveled quite a lot in the years. Um, he doesn't have any family left. Like you're getting,
Oh,
he seems to be the last of his line. Um, uh,
Baroness Aminata has a ring to it.
doesn't it?
It's
Does
in
it
here.
not?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
So yes, as I said, he's and you were like you're having a very enjoyable time with this. Like as I said, he's very attractive,
mhm.
chiseled cheekbones, strong jaw, these intense blue eyes.
Ah,
And this jet black hair and this simple ponytail, like he is a with this like beautifully pale skin. He is a very
striking.
very and as Gwynn had said, like he just has this power that kind of comes off him as well. Like this is a guy who's very confidently in control of himself, of his
Hmm.
surroundings. He's someone who's not worried about the opinions and attention of other people. He's very
Okay.
very secure and like somebody who knows his own strength and power.
Ooh, okay. Aminata's gonna be like just a smidge bit smitten.
Yeah.
Because I love a strong individual who knows what they're about. And yeah, so they're going to dance with them
Mm.
for as long as he wants to dance.
Yeah, you dance for like a good like 3 or 4 dances, and you're having a really wonderful time of it until you eventually realize, oh, it's actually getting kind of late, and things are beginning to wind down.
Oh, uh,
Yes,
apologies, monsieur. I didn't notice the time going by. Apologies for
you must
monopolizing.
apologize for nothing. I had a wonderful time dancing with a beautiful young woman.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Hopefully, I'll see you soon.
I'll make a point of it.
Oh, bonsoir. And Amanada is going to kind of head off to find Gwyn, trying to keep very chill, but right now they're feeling kind of like a bit giddy, a bit butterfly-esque.
Gwyn sees those
And
pink cheeks. Gwyn is going to say goodbye to Astrid.
Mhm.
Just in a nice way, not in a creepy way.
Yeah.
And she's actually going to show her. I feel like that needs to be said now anytime or just anyone. And she's going to show her Anki.
Oh, when you do that,
And
she's delighted by this. She like exclaims, and
it's a fairy dragon.
and Josephine was like, I wasn't sure what that's. I didn't remember those ruffles being on the dress. Those creatures are quite
No.
masters of disguise.
They aren't they wonderful?
is
Um,
how is that comment made?
Give me you can give me an awareness roll, I guess.
Yeah,
I think with the tone, she's not very impressed.
exactly. I have a
Gwyn
feeling.
brought an extra +1.
Yeah, so that is a 19.
You're like there's very much a ton of why the fuck did you bring a fairy dragon?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we love him.
I'm gonna make a note of that
Yeah,
one.
So
And also with Astrid, 100%, I can say, please, Astrid, I know your mother knows my family. If you'd love to come around for some tea and just so we can get to know each other, it's nice to have a friend as you're just making your way into society. It makes it a bit less daunting. And of course, there's always events where, yes, the parents will be in attendance, but we may have a bit more time away from them. And I'd like to get to know you better.
Oh, that would be lovely. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to meet some more people who I can talk to about these things. I don't get it
Yes.
much.
Oh, believe
lovely
me,
meeting you.
I know. Our parents, while they try to look after us, they can sometimes be very caging in their affections.
So eventually you say goodbye to everybody, thank them all for a lovely evening. You head out. Aminata, your carriage is waiting for you to bring you home. And obviously Josephine's carriage is waiting for both you and her. Um, Aminata, I'm assuming that you just go straight home, yeah?
Well, yeah, I'm not about to third wheel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't want to.
Well,
No, I'd probably like throw myself out of a moving carriage.
I know. Josephine's pretty hot.
Oh,
I know,
I will
actually, that's a
give
very good point.
Anki to yeah. I'll give Anki, pass Anki gently over to Aminata just to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll take Anki, and the baby's talk starts
Precious
immediately.
baby.
Hi,
I will
sweetie.
say, just as you're about to get out, and there's a knock on your carriage door, Aminata.
Oh.
It's just Justine.
Like,
What have you done with my baby?
literally, it's just gonna be a case of like door opens, I sit
Oh.
back, pull Justine in, and be like, "Oh, Justine, I didn't know you were around." Oh,
So Justine, you
course.
saw everything that happened tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And you
Oh,
heard
yeah.
everything that happened tonight, at least around
Amazing.
Gwynn.
so what did
I
you
just
think?
imagine
What did you hear?
I just imagine you sitting somewhere in like I'm sure there will be like cafes that are open late or some sort of like.
No, it would have been like a park bench type thing that you would have been just
Oh
sitting
no.
at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
Yeah.
Maybe
Just like
she
You
had
have to
Aminata's
be
wing.
like you'd have to be
keep
within
her safe.
within 100 meters of Anki to be able to see through him. So you had to be relatively close to the house.
You were in the shrubs.
yeah.
You were in the
I
shrubs
was
somewhere.
in the trenches when you were just fighting.
Aw.
No, just sitting somewhere, just like
Yeah.
looking through. I saw and heard everything.
Oh, and did you hear anything? I wasn't with Gwen all the time, so I'm pretty sure I missed some very juicy gossip.
Not much.
No?
See, it gets a bit hard after a while because Anki got very, very sleepy
Oh,
and
yes.
he was very bored.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did.
yes.
It was mostly what I heard. It was mostly just idle chit chat, stupid gossip. However, I did catch a bit of gossip, and it did
Ooh.
sound quite suspicious about apparently Madame Gaultier is trading with the Moors, and she received
Of
a
the
shipment.
Jotunheim.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is quite some feat.
It is very strange and very unusual and suspicious, if you ask me. As you know, my family is merchants.
Uh-huh.
So I know something about trading, and it's not an easy task. Let's put it that way.
You do know that Jotunheim does trade with other human nations, mostly for like agrarian goods that they don't have easy access to in the frozen north.
Mhm.
But like the fact that she's actually gotten a deal on Fey Iron, you're like,
Yeah.
they do not trade this quickly. So that was a power move by her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and let's say she wasn't happy when it was mentioned around Gwyn.
Oh. Oh, now that is interesting. Since Gwen is her, well, undoubtedly her favorite, that is interesting that she did not want Gwen to know when she has employed us for many jobs on her behalf.
Yeah, I
Yet
don't
she
trust her.
does not trust
Clearly,
Gwen.
she clearly doesn't trust us either.
Yeah.
Which I
Well,
wouldn't expect her to do, to be honest with you.
yes, it's prudent. It's a prudent business decision not to trust people that you can't control what they say or what they do most of the time. But it is very, very odd that she, of all people, like she's not. She doesn't. It's very, very bizarre.
Well, she has some serious connections. We knew that before, but that only proves it that maybe her influence is greater than we thought, and way outside Paris.
This is quite concerning. I know I had my own suspicions of Madame after our last run in with people who had worked with her or worked on her behalf, whichever way that went. That is, yeah, this does not help a lot of those suspicions that I had.
No.
So you guys
I
continue talking about this on the way home.
Oh, absolutely,
Gwyn,
absolutely.
you and Joséphine go back to your apartment to spend the night, and you have a wonderful night.
Yes.
She is someone that you are growing to really enjoy spending time with, we shall say.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Gwynn is like, as you know, a magnet to power. And so, yeah, she is. Her, like, part of her is still like, this is weird. Why is this happening to me? But she's also like, this is amazing.
yeah,
I love every minute of it.
yes, yes, very much. So it's like it's weird, but a very very hot mommy, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah. And Aminata, Justine, you get back home. There's not a sound in the house. Wherever Sylvia and Mina, you're assuming at the stage, are safely in bed, sleeping the sleep of the innocent and rested.
Um, when we get home, I'm definitely going to raid my dad's drink cabinet and get some of the good whiskey, since I feel guilty for Yassine having had sit in a shrub somewhere for most of that evening.
Mhm.
And I'm going to pilfer some, some little nibbles, some bread, some cheese,
Yep.
and a bit of chocolate. Um, and we're going to, I'll bring it up to my room. We'll probably sit in my room a bit, and we'll talk about some of the stuff that went on. And I'll definitely be giving Justine a rundown of my own sort of feelings about Madame, because ever since that warehouse incident,
Mhm. Right. So
the
And
math isn't mathing.
I just imagine like Anki having zoomies like
yes.
a cat around the house
Aw.
because you had to
Yeah,
had to be
absolutely.
still for like the
Cute.
night.
Absolutely.
Just like scurrying up the walls.
Like
So, yeah, you spend however long you want sharing your theories about the party's friend and employer, while Mina and Sylvia are fast asleep, and Gwyn eventually gets to sleep. And I think that is a perfect place to pause in our story. So, thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you had a lot of fun. It was great to be back, having missed last week's stream. Don't forget, you can find us on the socials at Faye Earth on Twitter and on Blue Sky, which is now available to everybody. You can also find us on faye-earth.itch.io, where you can find all of our stuff, a bunch of really great free to download products, and also, very importantly, we have a Kickstarter launching in March, and we could really use your support, trying to raise the funds so that I can bring this world of folklore and fairy tale to life. But until then, we shall see you hopefully next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Good night, all. Bye.
Night.